Utilizing loops on recordings here at Mack-n-Cheeze.
I don't have the stomach to be an alcoholic.
Hi, this is Brian from Mack-n-Cheeze.
Hey, this is Adam from Win Studio Music.
What did you just say? You don't have the stomach to be an alcoholic?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have the stomach to be an alcoholic.
I have some very, very, very dear friends that have had great careers, great recognition, man, and the booze just knocked them out.
Oh, yeah. No, I know some great musicians that just lost it.
Oh, yeah.
From, drugs.
Yeah.
Still good musicians, but just not getting anything done in life.
Yeah. Well, so we could sit around and talk about how bad everybody else's lives are, but I, for one, am pretty grateful about what's going on in my life right now, and I know that Adam is too. So,
yep.
So we're going to talk about loops.
Yeah, let's talk about loops.
Okay. So you actually are really good at utilizing them. So why don't you start out?
Well, I wouldn't actually use a loop unless it actually added to the song. You know.
Okay, yeah, but you've been using drum loops a lot.
Oh yeah. I've used audio loops. I've used MIDI loops. You know, with samples. Mm-hmm. Which I'd rather do that. I'd rather use MIDI loops.
And why would you rather use MIDI loops?
Well, just because you can control the samples that you trigger. Mm-hmm. You know,
right.
So I can. I mean, if I wanted to, I could have that kick drum. You know, trigger 6 different kick drums if I want, and right. Like a 60 hertz tone on top of that if I want, or a frickin' trombone if I so choose.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I've done that before. I've had drum hits, trigger either a phrase sample or just a different sound altogether.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you're in a different league than me.
Yeah, I would take I remember one time I was. I think it was probably a snare or a kick, and I set the velocity, the minimum velocity on like a trumpet hit, at like, I don't know, whatever, and then I went in and made sure that the snare or whatever I was using to trigger that trumpet hit, that those snare hits were the only ones that were going to trigger the trumpets. I had them set for a specific velocity.
Okay.
So that whenever the snare hit that velocity, it triggered the trumpets. Otherwise, it wouldn't trigger it.
Just because I've never done that before, how did you do the routing for the voicings on that? Was it just MIDI assignment for the hits?
I think so. I think it was probably a combination of internal and MIDI patch bay.
Okay, got it.
It just depends on where I was getting the trumpet sounds or the drum sounds.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick side note. So Adam one time asked me, do you remember the first time that you discovered MIDI? And when did you discover MIDI?
Oh, that was... it was probably about 84 or 85, and a buddy of mine had a Yamaha drum machine. I had a Casio CZ101, still have it.
Right.
Actually, I lost the first one. I bought another one on eBay for $125. The guy had no idea what he had. I could probably sell it for a lot more now, but I'm keeping it.
Nice, yeah.
But I took the Yamaha drum machine and ran the MIDI out from that. Because it's, I read about it. And then, I read that, you can just plug a MIDI out to a MIDI in on any other thing and they'll talk to each other. Or, have it go through and whatever, just hook them up, MIDI in, MIDI out, and the instruments will talk to each other. I thought, well, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard at the time. So I plugged it in and I started playing notes on the drum pads on the Yamaha. So I'm playing the Yamaha, driving tones from the Casio. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
So you basically created loops with that MIDI.
Yeah, that's when I started it. Then and then when I got into recording digitally, using DAWs like they are now, MIDI. Well, actually, when I started recording, it was all MIDI. Right. I was the only thing digital was the MIDI. and everything was going to 4-track or 8-track tape.
Got it. Yeah.
And then 8-track ended up being 7-track because 1 track was a timing stripe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the first time I discovered MIDI, so I was living on Orcas Island, working at a resort, and I think it was the DX27, and there was
27 or 7.
No, not the no. It wasn't a 7.
Oh, okay.
It was the scaled down version, right? But
Okay.
it did have a MIDI output on it, and so I had a 4-track recorder, and I had been tracking these things down and creating these little songs, and I discovered there was a recording studio on the island, right? And so I went there. This is 1986, and this guy, I don't even remember his name, but he had the full-on MIDI setup, and he listened to my little 4-track thing. He goes, "Have you ever used MIDI for recording?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he said, "Well, this keyboard's got a MIDI output, so why don't we do that?" So I would go through, play the track, and then he would do this crazy thing called quantizing it.
Oh yeah.
And so it ended up with a 4-track MIDI production on there, and I don't think he had much business. So, I mean, you moved to Orcas Island for a reason, right? To get away from everything. So.
Yeah.
So
not to run a successful studio.
Not to probably
At
run
least not from local business.
No, not for local business, or unless you're going to fly people in,
Yeah.
or let them take the ferry into there. But that's where I discovered MIDI. So that was a big deal for me. And I'm sure that I don't even know where the recordings from that thing are. I'm sure it was just crap. But I paid him a few $100, and I was a happy camper.
Yeah. Oh, I've got recordings that go back to when I was just bouncing cassette to cassette.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the first multi-tracking, but yeah, the recordings go way back.
Yeah. So as far as loops, what sort of voices are you using on your loops?
Just anything and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but mostly now, if I'm using loops now, it's mostly drums. Mm-hmm. Occasionally maybe some horns or keys.
Yeah.
But if I'm using horns or keys, I'll create the loops myself.
Right, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Drums, maybe half the time I'll create the loop myself, and the other half I'll start with a canned loop that I can find,
right.
And I'll tweak it to match whatever I'm doing. But
yeah,
and then maybe 1 in 20 times I'll grab a drum loop,
right,
and just use it as is. Mm-hmm. But I've done a lot with audio loops too.
Now, isn't that's actually Audio Loops is a company, right, that you can purchase loops from?
I don't know. No,
Yeah,
I just mean as far as the difference between using a MIDI loop
Is it audio tracks
and just an audio loop.
Okay, yeah.
And the audio loops are, I mean, you're limited to the sound you got, but I mean, obviously you can tweak it
right
any way you want.
Right.
And you can still chop and dice it, any way you want.
Yeah.
And I've done that before too.
Right.
But it's it's a good substitute if you don't have access to a real drummer or a real keyboard player
or a real guitar player.
Or a real guitar player, yeah.
You don't have that problem, I do.
Yeah. But I mean, you can create a full band playing genuine parts if you take the time to modify the loops to sound like real musicians playing your song.
Right. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I have used through the years. So first of all, I actually used the loops off of GarageBand for one of the songs that we co-wrote here at the studio, and it was really interesting because I created the loops with GarageBand, threw it to the lead singer. He came up with this great arrangement, and then we just tracked on everything else on top of that. And I still used some of the loops in the song, but mixed them way in the back. One of my problems with loops is that it's really hard to recreate live reproduction of tracks, and so I'm really conservative on how I use them. But I think I was trying to look at. I'm looking right here on the computer on all these loops that I've picked up, and I'm trying to remember the companies that I picked them up from. Some of them are pretty good. I'm not the GarageBand loops. I'm not overly happy with, nor am I really over the top and joyful about Logic Pro 10 loops, even though those are a little bit better than GarageBand.
Yeah.
But a lot of the limitations I've found with them is that so you get 2, 4, 8 bars out of it, and then when you daisy chain them together, a lot of times there's an audio artifact that happens because the sample ends and begins automatically, and so there's not a natural cohesive fading to the loop.
Yeah, and that's where there's just it depends on how meticulous you want to get with the loop as far as what its purpose is. More nowadays than before, if I'm playing with a loop at all, it's just to get the demo of the song done, or it helped me write the song, or sometimes I'll just pull up a loop just to start jamming to see if I can come up with a new song.
Right.
But I'm using them more and more now as a tool for writing than actually recording. And then once I have all the inspiration that I need, I just record everything straight, except for the drums, because I don't have drums at my house.
Yeah. So I understand why you would like to use loops with MIDI files, because you could change the keys. So some of the loops that I've used, I have Apple loops that I use. Big Fish Audio has a huge.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those.
Yeah. But again, the limitation is like there's not a lot of key choices. I mean, I like to write things that are like in B flat and E flat because I'm always imagining horn parts in with my tracks, and there's not a lot of flats or sharps in these loop libraries.
No, actually, what I do, I mean, I'll change the pitch of the loop to match the song.
Okay.
Too. I mean,
how are you doing that?
I just change the pitch. I think I just right click on the if it's a clip.
Okay.
Like I can right click on it and just change the pitch.
Really?
Even on the channel strip.
I've never tried that before. Let's see if that works. Let's see here. So
and in Acid, I mean, back in the day,
on this one.
I quit using Acid on, I think, like Acid Pro 7.
So
which was like years ago.
Yeah, Acid. I remember.
But
I remember seeing Acid. I don't think I ever used it.
I think they may have started, or they were maybe one of the first ones to perfect, at least the ability to change the key, stretch it. Just basically it was just a tempo-based loop, and you change the tempo, the loop changes without changing the pitch.
Yeah. I think so. Like with Big Fish Audio, you can download their controller, and then that actually will do that stuff for you. You can manipulate it. I've never gone that far, but I'll be honest with you, I do still use a lot of loops.
Yeah, and you can tune them.
Right.
And that's
Did you ever venture?
I've never not been able to tune the loop, so I can't relate.
I don't think I've ever tried.
I can't relate to the challenge of, gosh, I wish this was an F sharp. It's just like, this isn't an F sharp, so I just change it to F sharp.
Well, so I've had no problems with using session bands. Session bands is incredible. Again, though, it's like the stock tempo for session bands seems to be the best utilization. When the tempo changes, it gets a little bit squirrely. You can mess around with it in a mix where it sound okay, but the original tempos are the samples that sound best on that.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but session band's pretty incredible. I actually They've just had a new R&B library pop up, and I'm going to get that one. But I've got a ton of their stuff.
And that's why I like the MIDI loops better.
Yeah.
When they're triggering a synth.
Right.
Because you can change the key all you want. And you can make it sound natural just by if you have good samples, you can create a pretty convincing band.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and I've done that before. One of the things I like to do is with the session bands, amazingly, the pianos are, I don't know what it is about the sampling, but the pianos seem to be a lot more flexible in being able to change tempos than the guitar tracks. And it's probably because you're dealing strictly with a microphone on top of the piano strings instead of a guitar amp, which is,
right.
I mean, you're a guitar player and you know how important it is that a true aficionado of the artistry of guitar not only plays the guitar, they play the amplifier too.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And the effects.
Yeah.
I mean, the effects aren't there to cover it up. My technique changes because of the effect I'm playing through.
Right. So I use samples mostly in just the creative aspect of creating songs and ideas. And then my eventual goal is to get a live player to recut the tracks in some variation or some interpretation of the loop.
Yeah, and I'll do the same thing too. If I might create a MIDI loop using like an organ synth patch or something.
Right.
And then once I have it perfected, I'll learn on the guitar and just to see if, maybe I want to play it on the guitar instead.
Yeah.
Or maybe I want to double it on the guitar.
Yeah. So I think the best guitar loops I have ever picked up I think it was from Big Fish, and it's the Charlie Hunter loops, man. This guy, man, his tone, he plays a Telecaster, and the tone is absolutely just as pure as it could possibly be. There's varying tempos. There's actually, I like his tracks because he actually has B flat and E flat keys. You do. So a lot of times if I'm not happy with the loop itself, I'll take and just manipulate it and cut and paste the portions of it that I like, and just create an entire new rhythm off of it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even have to be physically playable.
Right.
If you come up with something that's just, if it sounds cool, it's cool.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes chopping something up like that is the only way to get that. And I wouldn't even try to play it, as a human.
Right. So have you ever used Ableton before? Have you ever gone into that world?
Mm-mm.
So Ableton's got the 8x8 push button platform, so you can as you change from verse to chorus. And this is an oversimplification because I've never used Ableton myself, but GarageBand did an emulation of it, and so you can cut and paste your loops, or you can modify your loops by just pressing the button into whatever section of the song you want to take it into.
Oh, yeah.
And
basically you can do that in real time on those programs, can't you?
Right, yeah, you can do it on real time. I've never used Ableton. I've known a few drummers who are actually doing it. I have one friend who has integrated his Ableton platform with a Roland drum. What is it? The DX something? I don't. I'm sorry. The SPD1.
Oh wow.
And he's using the Ableton platform as well as the SPD1 along with this acoustic set. Setting up. They use a lot of loops when they're playing. And actually, we were in a band where the utilization of sequencing, which is basically MIDI controlled loops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot of sequencing in that.
Yeah, live I'm not. I could do without sequencing live anymore.
Yeah, me too. But I have to tell you something. When we sat down and did the demos, I didn't think it was going to sound natural, but it did.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
did sound natural, which was, I found that very, very interesting because human beings aren't machines, and regardless of...
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh, hey, it's the wife.
No,
it's Mom.
Mom.
Hi, Mom.
yeah, hi, Mom. I'll call you later.
Yeah. So being the drummer, I'm the guy that's locked into the click track, but just because of the nature of the sequences, everybody's locked into a time source.
Yeah, and then if everybody's playing to the same sequence,
Yeah.
if you got 5 humans and 1 machine, guess who wins?
The machine.
The humans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So as far as feel goes,
Right,
you know,
that's right.
it's gonna feel like
Right.
5 humans and maybe a machine in there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, the sequences we were playing to were pretty good.
I
mean,
I thought they
were grooving.
I thought it came off way better in the studio environment than it did in the live environment. There's the recordings I thought were really good that you did when we put together that third demo. Was that the? I spent 3.5 years with the band. Adam spent 4, and so it was really, really, really interesting. I'm not sure that I would ever want to go back to that. So I have some friends that are actually utilizing loops live. So the bass player, the drummer, and the guitar player are locked into click track, right? Yeah. And then the keyboard player is. Yeah, I know that he's not locked into a click track, but he is triggering loops off of his keyboards, and so when you're doing that, you got to make where 1 is when you press it.
Especially if it's
right.
If it's not synced up to MIDI with a buffer to say, okay, right. I might be a little off, but quantize it in real time.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, even if you're not sequencing the track and you're triggering the loops from using the keyboard key on then if you're late, man, that loop comes in late and it doesn't sound right. So you gotta really nail it.
Yeah.
Gotta really nail it.
And I remember seeing Rush live one time, and it was probably Neil just totally blew a loop trigger.
Oh yeah,
it screwed whoever missed it. It screwed everything up. I was ecstatic because I'm like, yes, they can fuck up. You know what I mean?
Even the big dogs.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it was just they were all looking at each other like, what? It's like, Neil.
How did they get out of the song?
They just worked their way back to it, and they laughed it off.
Well, we had some experiences like that too.
Oh yeah, got them on tape too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it is going to happen. So one of the things that I used to do when I was really, really, really into it is that I used like a lot of auxiliary percussion, like congas and cowbell and tambourines and shakers, but I've become such a purist as far as sound and tonal quality is concerned that I just went out. I could spend $175 on a tambourine. I spent $50 on a cowbell. The shakers. Yeah. You could get high quality.
Get the tone.
You get the tone, and plus the fact when I've got preamps that cost $2,000, $3,500. I'm utilizing the preamps and utilizing the tubes.
Yeah, exactly.
To get as warm a sound as I possibly can. So one of the things I like to do though is that I like to create my own loops. So I have a vintage Bellari RP20, which when I got the thing, it had old Chinese tubes in it, so I replaced the tubes with Russian tubes.
Oh yeah,
go much more clean, much more warm, and so I just made a bunch of kick drum samples. And so a lot of times if I'm recording drums, I'm not happy with the kick drum, and it's just like I just cut and paste the kick drum sample into it.
Oh yeah,
and it's big, it's powerful, it's pro. All of that. I've created loops with snare drums, and here's the one of the things that I discovered is that if I'm just using one snare drum hit, and trying to make that the entire voice, it sounds like a loop. You can't get it to sound natural, even if it's first generation.
Yeah.
But if I take that loop, and so like say the typical session, I'm recording 8 to 9 microphones on the snare on the drum set, and so if I take that snare sample and just paste it in with the drum kit, it sounds a lot more natural. Yeah.
And I'll do the same thing. I don't cut and paste. I'll just use them as a trigger.
Right.
And I'll just load it into a sample generator or player. I don't know what. I know where it is on my computer.
Oh yeah. So one of the tricks that I've done is to create say I have a snare drum. I'm not exactly happy with the snare drum. I'll take and isolate the track, route it into a gate. I'll take and break out one of my modules. I have a DM Pro as well as an TD10 drum modules, and I'll take and I'll route the output into a gate, and then take that gate will input into the drum machine, and so there's a little bit of latency, but it's only like 5-10 milliseconds, but it's precisely the same latency, and so I'll record that over it. So basically, I have a sample loop of the entire song, and then I can just take and move it to the snare drum hit universally, just with just a couple of adjustments on the WAV file itself, and there you go.
I've got in my DAW, I'm using Cakewalk, and there's a bunch of nudge settings that you can set just however you want them, left and right. So I got a bunch of numbers. So
universal nudges. Wow.
Anytime I hit, one, it's nudge this many samples, or I can set it to samples, milliseconds, measures, whatever. Beats, but I usually set it to, 5 or 10 samples, or I might have to check. But I've got some small nudges, I got some bigger nudges. But it's mainly so that if I'm visually trying to line up, a loop with another one, or maybe a loop with a live track, and it's like, okay, I want that one to be dead on. I'll just nudge it visually, or I can drag it too, but nudging's a little easier when you got a whole screen full of stuff. Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not opposed to using loops. I'm actually not opposed to. I've had folks come in who have said, hey, I've recorded rap and hip hop people. And so one of the challenges I have with that is that, the person comes in and say, hey man, I've created this beat and I would like you to record that. And I would usually I would say, yeah, fine, how much you're going to pay me? But here's the thing, I'm so over the top artistic and wanting to balance everything that I asked the person, so how many outputs does your beat maker have? And generally the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you look at it and it's got a stereo out, and it's like, dude, I mean, we could run MIDI and run one voice at a time, but I want to be able to control every single voice and the dynamics of where that sample's at in the course of the song.
Yeah. If it's only a stereo output, then your control is limited to just what the machine can do.
Well, you've got that option, or the other option is running MIDI or USB MIDI and just recording the voice through the entire song. I mean, it takes a long time. You can do it. Yeah. But as far as like one of the things I would suggest, if you're somebody who's in that sort of mode, if with whatever platform you're using, if it's a hardware platform, make sure it's got at least 4 outs. 8 would be nicer, so you could do simultaneous control.
Yeah. I had an old Korg synth module.
Yeah.
And it had 2 stereo pairs. It had 4 individual outputs, and then I think 2 stereo pairs.
Oh,
depending on which part of the module you were working on. So you could have your instruments all going to individual outputs, or you could have them sharing a stereo output, and so all the mixing was inside. Mm-hmm. But you had the ability to say, okay, the violin goes to output 1.
Right.
You know, the bass goes
Right.
to output 2,
Right.
and so on. So you could isolate
Right.
that way.
Sure.
But if it was a stereo sound, then you would lose that part of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you really wanted it, and I've done that before, where I used the one module and just, you know, the MIDI controlled it, but I'd say, okay, I'm going to replay it back now, but I'm going to mute everything except for the violins. So I'm going to replay it one time through, record the violins. Play it through again, set up another track, record the bass on the other track.
Yeah.
And it's all in time, but just like you said, you're just
Right.
recording one track at a time, and what the heck? That's what you're doing if you're recording live instruments anyway.
Yeah, so for me, I've used so there's actually the name of the company is Audio Loops. I've used Audio Loops, and I've also used Big Fish Audio, and I've been relatively happy with that. Big Fish has this huge library. And so you could just go in and just dump money. But, you know, they've got everything from classical to EDM to R&B to rock. You know, just to understand the limitations of what you're working with. There's also a free controller, and I forget the name of the company that uses a controller, but that supplies a controller. But boy, I'm telling you, if you're limited like I am, loops are a really great option.
Yeah.
Really great option. Especially, I like to write music, but I don't play guitar, man. I'm garbage as far as guitar playing is concerned. And so to just also for the creative process, GarageBand is great, and then Session Band, man, I'm just rave about that, man. Especially if you use the loops at the reset tempos, man, oh man, it's pretty authentic stuff. Really authentic.
Yeah, I haven't used that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you and I have definitely different backgrounds on that.
Because most of my loop collection, and I've got, thousands and thousands of loops. But,
Yeah, me too.
most of the collections, I think I got from, I think it was Sony.
Yeah. Oh,
You
okay.
know.
Was it a SoundForge thing?
Well, it was when Sony had SoundForge and Acid and Vegas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it was when they came out with Acid that they started putting out all the loop CDs.
Okay. Yeah.
And just tons of them. And I bought tons of them. I probably got 30 different CDs of collections. The first thing I did, I just dump them onto the computer. So I've got, just, I don't know how many gigs of just loops available.
Right. And usually when you're purchasing loops, the purchase gives you the license to reproduce it in any form you want.
I've used them a lot. I mean, they remain in a lot of mixes.
Yeah, right.
And some of them are chopped up, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
But they're, most of them, I bet you almost every one of them's been pitched.
Oh, yeah,
to some point,
right.
or stretched, or cut in half, or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done, I've created my own drum patterns by taking, loops from two different collections.
Oh yeah, of course.
Chopping them up, putting them together, and it's it's some weird sounds, but if they're grooving, you know?
If it works, it works.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, and then I'll mix them down into one, stretchable loop.
Yeah,
and that was always the key for me. If I was using loop, I had to be able to manipulate it, because I don't think I've ever pulled in a loop and said, "Oh, that's perfect," and I'm just using it.
Me either.
Yeah.
Me either. Yeah, so again, just want to reiterate, like we did on the first podcast that you've listened to, there are no rules, man. Use whatever works. Whatever works. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's just sound and how you chop it up and put it together.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And loops, for me, that's what they're for. They're there to be chopped up. It's like an onion. I don't need the whole onion.
Right.
I only want one slice because, damn it, it's just an omelet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. And Brian Mack-n-Cheeze out here.
Adam, Win Studio Music, over and out.
Over and out. Have a good day.